Hi, welcome to my awesome screencast. So, this is for AP Stats because AP Stats is the coolest class in the world. Okay, so what I'm going to compare is does grade level affect musical taste? And so this is by David Shwarts and Rachel Rosenberg, who contributed so much. Okay, anyways, let's continue. Alright, so what is our objective? Our objective is to calculate the true proportion of each grade's level favorite music genre at Kahila Jewish High School. But the thing is, we're not using only Kahila Jewish High School. Our whole population, which is our sample group, is all the Jewish schools in the Bay Area. So what are our conditions? So the students are most likely to be independent from each other because we used a random selection and isolated each student from when she or he was taking our survey. So what this means is that we individually selected random students from only Kahila Jewish High School to take our survey. Our only condition that could be violated was that if we were to exceed 10% of Kahila population. Then that would be really bad because you cannot exceed 10% of a population. So what we did was we expanded our population to both Kahila and KGHS students, which are the two Jewish Bay Area schools. This, however, will create a convenience bias because we are only looking at Kahila students. Now, what is a convenience bias? You may be wondering. Well, that's a great question. So convenience bias is when you have a population, but you only use like a certain amount of those people. You select them, which creates a bias. Graphs and charts. Very exciting. So this is the fresh music taste. So we selected 11 students from each grade, and these are the 11 students who we sampled. Now you can see that in the freshman class, 4 students, which was the majority, selected R&B/hip-hop. There was a tie between rap and alternative, but R&B and hip-hop ultimately won. Now this graph shows that most freshmen in Kahila like R&B, like I previously said, and we believe that if our proportion sample size was larger, this tie would not have appeared, and we would have seen an increase in either alternative or rap. So the sophomore. So we shall see a graph, and I'll show you the graph. So the sophomore, just like previously, alternative was very close, but rap ultimately won. Rock and roll had 2 students, but that was just like an outlier. Okay, so we inferred that this could, the reason why rap won over alternative was because we used more males and females, and this could have created a more bias because we used a few more males and females, and males ultimately prefer rap music than alternative music. And this study was found online. I don't remember our source, but it was a reliable source. So for the juniors, which is the most important grade, okay, so the juniors ultimately had alternative music as the best. We'll look at the 5 students. Then there's dubstep, R&B, which had 1, rock and roll, and silence. Silence meaning that they don't like music at all, Rennie, which was just like there on the side. So alternative music ultimately won. And now let's look at the seniors. Now the seniors liked rock and roll the most. Alternative was close, just like the juniors, which the juniors and the seniors have a very close age difference or similarity. I mean, sorry. Anyways, so we can see that there was a similarity between rock and alternative in both class, but in the junior class, alternative won, but rock and roll was also kind of close, and in the senior class, alternative was close, but rock and roll won. And so it seems that the oldest grade likes the oldies. Wink, wink. Yeah, it's Rachel. The oldest grade likes the oldies. Thanks, Rachel. Anyways, so this is just a graph showing the amount of students and the highest genre chosen, and we can see that the proportions are very similar. In the underclass, the most selected genre was chosen by 4 students, and in the upper class, the most selected genre was chosen by 5 students. Okay, so this final graph will show which music genre was the favorite within. So this final graph just showed the favorite genre within each grade. It seemed that our results showed exactly what we thought was going to happen. That grade level really does affect music taste. Also, the distribution by grade level in this pie chart shows a nearly equal distribution between all grades. Therefore, our sample is represented by population, which is very good news. In conclusion, of our graph analysis, all of our graphs clearly show that there was a favorite of different genres between the grade levels. Now, data category. We are going to call in our co-pilot, Eitan Simler, to help us describe what this means. So we are using a chi-squared sample. Eitan, would you like to describe what a chi-sample is and what our conclusion means?
What kind of chi-square test are you doing?
Well, Eitan, you should be able to answer that.
Just kidding. Yeah,
it's right there.
Doing a chi-square test of independence.
Awesome. Thanks for reading the note card I gave you.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, Eitan, so what is our null hypothesis?
Being in a certain grade does not affect music taste.
Eitan, you're a genius. Now, what is our actual hypothesis?
You mean alternative hypothesis?
Yeah, there we go. Now, please describe what an alternative hypothesis is, not an actual hypothesis.
Well, an alternative hypothesis is what you think might be the case if the null hypothesis is rejected.
That was a great way to describe it, Eitan. Now, our chi-squared, which is the x squared, this thingy, is 1.734. Eitan, would you like to describe what that number means?
Well, it just means like anything.
Okay, Eitan. Okay, now this is just an interesting graph I want you to see. So this is our total participants. This was just like the pie chart, except a little more simpler for you guys to see. All right, so we can see freshmen chose R&B, sophomores rap, juniors alternative, seniors rock and roll, and the total participants from each grade was 11, and then this is just the same as the pie chart. So this table shows that there was a small pattern where 4 out of 11 students chose their favorite genre, and all these students were underclassmen, while in the upperclassmen, as I previously stated, had 5 out of 11 students answer the total of the class's favorite genre. At the same time, we also have to take into account that one student in the junior class who blitzed through our survey clicking silence because it was funny, Rennie. This could have skewed our data into a direction that would have messed up our results. So what is our conclusion? So we are fairly confident that our results reflect on the general population, but due to a minimal time and inefficiency to acquire a list of students from JCHS, we were unable to get the results we wanted. We ran into a speed bump of the fact that our population sample was over 10%. So we expanded our population to JCHS, causing us to have a convenience bias due to the fact that we limited our population proportion to only Kahila Jewish High School. This seemed to be a conclusion between the juniors and seniors. There seemed to be a correlation between juniors and seniors. Sorry. Association. Oh, I'm not doing so well today. The music genres they chose are fairly similar music genres because alternative music developed from rock and roll. And the same goes for freshmen and sophomores. Rap is a branch off of R&B and hip-hop. This shows that freshmen and sophomores have a similar taste in music, and same goes for juniors and seniors. Even though these genres are different in many ways, they still have many commonalities. If we were to conduct this experiment again, we would have chosen 3 random public schools and randomly selected 100 students from each grade from every school. By doing this, we would be able to work with a larger population and a smaller chance of error. In the end, we found out that we were correct in answering our question, which was, does grade level affect music taste? So this graph is very important. It shows the comparison between distribution of grade by music genre with relative frequencies. So what does this mean? Let's look at country, for example. That means the people who selected country music were only seniors, no one else. But here, for alternative, there was a small amount of freshmen who chose, a larger amount of juniors who chose, a smallish amount of seniors who chose alternative, and a good amount of sophomores. So just take a look at this. Okay, we've all examined this. Great. So this graph leads me to conclude that because there are no apparent patterns, this is not independent, or these people didn't independence. Okay, so that is the end of our presentation, but I would like to talk about our survey that we conducted. So we conducted a five question survey. One question was, what is the age, what age group are they in? By that I mean, what class are they in? What is their favorite music genre? What is their favorite, what kind of phone do they have? This was a technological question to throw off the survey users, because if we were to ask them what music and what age level they were, they would obviously know what the survey was about. But once we asked them about their phone, they were like, oh, okay, this is kind of throws us off. There was also there was also a random question about something that would just throw them off, like how many siblings do they have? So that kind of just threw off everyone. So they didn't know what our survey was about. We tried to make our survey we made our survey anonymous so that all the people would feel safe and answer truthfully. So that is the end, and I hope you enjoyed this presentation, and I'll hand it off to Rachel. Yeah, woo, this presentation rocks! Alright, woo, alright, go team! Woo, alright! Okay, thank you. Hope you learned something, hopefully.